How can you use tiny habits to have massive growth in your life and in your business? Often what happens is we want these big, ambitious goals and habits in order to achieve high success, but we forget that these big habits all start somewhere. And what I realize is something that I experienced and I also saw a lot in my client is that if we set ourselves up to begin with these big, ambitious habits, we set ourselves up for failure. Because if you go from never exercising to want to exercise 2 hours every day, the odds of you succeeding in doing that are slim because of the resistance you'll experience and the need for extra willpower and discipline. It's not impossible, but you're stacking the odds against yourself. When this happens, this means that you will get discouraged. Gradually, this will attack your self-trust and self-belief, and you will start to lose the ability and the belief that you can actually do this. This is something I experienced myself when I wanted to start my meditation practice years and years ago. I started by fixing myself the aim of meditating every day for half an hour. What would happen is I would stick at it a week or two, then life would get in the way or a bunch of excuses and suddenly I'd fall off the wagon. And this would happen over and over and over and over again until I read Atomic Habits by James Clear. And by then I'd been trying to have a meditation practice for about 2 years with cycles where I would manage for a month or so and then fall off the wagon. And then I read about the 2-minute habit. And I thought, right, I'm going to do this. So I meditated for 3 months, 2 minutes every single day to really anchor that habit. And then I increased it to 5 minutes and then eventually to 10 minutes and then to 20 minutes. And now it's been 3 years of absolutely daily meditation. I haven't skipped a single day, even when I had fever, even when I had an early flight, even when I traveled, I haven't skipped a single day of meditation. But this didn't happen overnight. This happened because I embraced tiny habits. Once I realized that the key to building lasting habits is to start small, to start with tiny habits, this is when I suddenly became able to have a meditation practice, to build in an exercise practice. Everything stacked up from starting very small, doing it for a period of time, and then eventually it becomes a 10, 20, 30-minute habit, whatever it is that you want to do every single day. That's what a habit is, something that you do daily or weekly. And ideally, you want these habits to correlate with your goals, with your vision, with what's important for you. In my case, meditation really helps me to feel calm and centered and grounded. It helps me to think more clearly. And it is just one of these things that I know makes the biggest difference in my life, which is why it was so fundamental for me to have a meditation practice. So in the rest of today's episode, we're going to dive into 7 habits, tiny habits, that has really supported me in my life and my clients to have a highly productive day, to feel great most of the times. And these are all small habits that you can put in place, which will support you to have greater levels of productivity, performance, well-being, absolutely fundamental ones. The first one is what we've just been talking about, meditation. Even if it's just a 5-minute meditation or even just 2-minute meditation, turning everything off, focusing on your breath, counting in and out, or just paying attention to how your body is feeling. This has such high benefits in your life. I can't stress this enough. I can't emphasize enough how much of a difference meditation, having a regular meditation practice, can make in your daily life. Helps you to think more clearly, helps you to manage stress, helps you to see your thoughts from a more detached way, helps you to be more focused and to pay attention more clearly, helps you to manage challenging and difficult situations because you don't respond so quickly and you have that extra time to choose how you want to respond to circumstances. And the list goes on. This is a tiny habit, micro habit, if you start with 5 minutes every day, or maybe at different moments during the day, that can really support you to not just be more productive, but have this sense of inner peace and fulfillment. The second micro habit is cold showers. I'm a big fan of cold showers. I think if it wasn't for cold showers, I wouldn't be able to start the day. This is the equivalent of a cup of coffee for most people. Helps you to be alert. It's also fantastic for the body and blood circulation. Maybe some of you prefer cold dips. That's great too. It depends what your preferences are. Obviously, you need to check if this is something that is good for your body, because not everyone resonates in the same way. But for cold showers, they're not as intense as cold dips. And mostly I've seen that for pretty much everyone, they're beneficial. And also this helps you to become more resilient, because your body becomes more resilient, so your mind will become more resilient. By putting yourself through hormetic stresses, whether it's cold showers or exercise, this helps you to be stronger, to help you to cope with stress, because your body has coped with stress. So when mental stress arises during your day, you feel stronger because your body has actually dealt with physical stress. The third element moves on to how you organize and structure your day. This is a micro habit that is so fundamental, and it's so easy to skip it, yet it makes all the difference. And this comes down to how you set up for the day. Having a little micro habit routine for how you set up and how you end your working day. This means not just jumping into your emails or checking the first thing, but really setting your place up for work, taking a moment to reflect, and then before starting your day, maybe you have your cup of tea or coffee and having this little start ritual, but also end ritual. I know many people who are working from home that maybe just leave their laptop on all the time, or maybe switch back and forth between different things, but don't fully switch off. Having this real mental clarity of, now I'm starting my day, I'm about to focus and do one thing at a time, and stay clear, focused during the day, and also ending the day. This was great, this is what I learned, and tomorrow is a new day. And really being able to start and close your day can help you to have this feeling of clarity when it comes to your business or your work, but also of compartmentalizing between your personal and your professional life, especially if you're working from home. And this is something that takes a minute or two. It doesn't have to be a long, elaborate ritual when you start and end your day. Linked to this concept, and this is a fourth micro habit, and this comes down to planning and reviewing your day. So once you've set up for your day, then take a moment to plan. And this can be a 5-10 minute micro habit where you write your 3 main outcomes for the day, why they're important for you, and maybe break down a couple of other things you want to get out for the day. I do this every single day in Notion. I have a template where I write my 3 main outcomes, what the result is, what's the purpose, why do these tasks even matter. This helps you to prioritize and links to your overall vision and purpose, mission. And if you don't feel they're that important, find a purpose, find a reason. Why are you going to do this task anyway? This helps to ignite your own motivation to take that action. And then under the main outcome, I write a few tasks towards this main outcome. This helps to be sure that you're prioritizing what's most important. Be sure to stay focused. This helps you to be more disciplined throughout the day because you've got this clarity of the different outcomes for your day. And in the same way, in the evening, you briefly review. Did you achieve your 3 outcomes for the day? What did you learn? How engaged were you in your work? Having a brief daily review before you close down your computer. So this was the 4th habit. A 5th micro habit, which is something that you can keep in mind during the day, is having your core tasks on Post-its. This is something that I use when I feel I have a lot to achieve in a small amount of time. What I do is this. I write down each different task on Post-its, all the different things that I want to do that day, and then I prioritize them, and so they have a little pile of Post-its, and then it's just one thing at a time. Now, ideally, you don't want to have hundreds of these because that's a bit counterproductive, but maybe 5 or 6 sometimes. And then if you have them all on top of each other, stacked in order of priority, this helps in multiple ways. First of all, it means that instead of just doing whatever comes to your mind first, you do what is the highest priority because you stack your post-it by order of priorities. It's also, compared to having a to-do list, you don't just tick off the easy or short ones first, you start with the most important, most relevant. It also helps you to single task and just do one thing at once, because you can't start the next post-it until you finish that post-it. This principle, this micro habit of keeping things on post-it is something that can help you if you're struggling with prioritizing or if you're struggling with overwhelm and dealing with too many things at once. What you'll also notice is that maybe you have too many things on those post-its to fit in just a couple of hours. And then all you can do is ruthless prioritizing and really ask yourself, what can you eliminate? What can you delegate? What can you outsource? At the end of the day, time is finite, is capped, and then you need to make choices. Often, in order to avoid making these choices, we just try and do everything at once and multitask and just be super busy and hope that we squeeze it all in. I don't know about you, but this has never worked for me. We end up still with a bunch of things not done and feeling even more overwhelmed because we've tried to cram in too much too fast, and the quality of the delivery of the results is often poorer. So instead, having a strategic 1 minute or two, maybe 5 minutes to write down the different things, prioritize them calmly, take some time to reflect, and then whatever needs to wait, needs to wait. This helps to alleviate also some of the pressure, because we're not robots and we can't just squeeze everything in a short amount of time. So this was a fifth habit, which I feel is so useful when it comes to managing your workload. The sixth habit is going for a lunch walk. This is something that I do pretty much religiously every single day. Sometimes it's just 5-10 minutes. Often it's more around 20 to 30 minutes. And a lunch walk has so many benefits. I feel that I hear Huberman talk a lot on his podcast about the importance of getting daylight first thing in the morning, which is also great. I'm a really big proponent also of getting that daylight and that walk and that movement in the middle of your day. This helps because it helps you to digest your food. It also helps because you get more oxygen in instead of being indoors all day. You also get that extra movement and walk. It helps you to process the information of the morning. Ideally, you want to do these lunch walks without being plugged in, so without podcasts or music. So it helps you to process the information of the morning, to digest your food, to get daylight and sunlight and air in the middle of the day and movement. And it means that when you start again in the afternoon, you're so much more focused, productive, clear-minded, and it helps you to achieve a lot more in the afternoon also. This is something that is so incredibly powerful, and yet I feel that many people are resistant to doing it because it takes effort. You need to put your clothes back on and your coat and go outside, but it is such a make it or break it. It makes such a huge difference to your own energy levels and to feel clear-minded, calm, grounded throughout the day. So this was habit number 6, making sure that you fit in that lunch walk. And the last micro habit, habit number 7, is prepare the night before. And this means, in my case, one of my favorite ones is prepare your workout clothes or your yoga mat the night before. This means that you're setting yourself up ahead of time for getting up early, for exercising. You have already set the scene. And what I've noticed is this is using sunk cost bias. Sunk cost bias is when you feel you've already taken actions towards something and therefore you feel you should continue in that direction. This is using sunk cost bias because you're thinking, well, I've already taken out the mat, I've already prepared my workout clothes, I've already put on my alarm, I might as well do it. And I feel that it really reduces the friction to starting the workout the next day or the exercise. Now, if you don't exercise first thing in the morning, it can be something else. But putting out your clothes the night before or preparing whatever it is that you want to do early in the morning helps you to frame yourself, to mentally reframe how you're going to start your day, and it's a really powerful micro habit. So as a brief recap, what have we looked at? Building a meditation practice. This was micro habit number 1, extremely powerful. Number 2, cold showers. This cold immersion really wakes you up, only takes a few minutes, a total game changer. Then setting up your environment for work, but also for when you shut down work. Fourth was your daily planning of the 3 outcomes and your daily review. 5 was writing your core task on a post-it. 6, going for that lunch walk. Absolutely amazing. Once you do it, you will love it. And 7, maybe preparing your clothes the night before for exercise, for instance, or just setting the scene for the following day helps to alleviate that extra pressure and helps you to have that motivation to get started the next day. I hope this episode has been useful for you. Please share in the comment what is a micro habit that you do. I'd be really curious. I love this topic and I would love to hear what has helped you to have in your daily life as a micro habit. And keep in mind what I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, which is that micro habits can also help you to build long, bigger habits in the future. So micro habits can be things that you do on a regular basis, like setting up your day or the cold showers, but it can also be a way of starting a bigger habit that you want to do as a meditation practice or exercise by just starting small. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, leave a comment, share this video or episode with a friend or family member. And if you're listening on a podcast, please leave a 5-star review to the show. This makes such a huge difference. You've no idea how much of a difference this makes to the show. So if you enjoy this episode, and if you get value from it, this would be amazing. Thank you once more for tuning in and see you in the next episode.